Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the latest This is the Music Meets podcast, an independent podcast show that shines a light on rising artists and bands from across the UK and Ireland. If you are new to the podcast, then please hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any future episodes. And feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, obviously, and help us beat those algorithms. It's time for episode 97. And I'm delighted to be joined by one of Scotland's finest indie bands in Shambolics. And over the course of today's episode, we're going to get the lowdown on the band's debut album, Dreams, Schemes and Young Teams, signing with Scruff of the Neck Records, becoming friends as well with Carl Faulkner from The View, and much, much more. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Shambolics guitarist and songwriter Forbes. Mate, welcome back to the podcast. How you doing?
I'm good, my man. How's you? Thanks for having me back.
No, they are fantastic. It's great to have you back. And yeah, I'm not too bad, man. We're getting there, grafting away. And yeah, just sort of,
Your
chatting.
podcast is coming on good now, man. I've seen you've had some good guests on and stuff, and you're
Ah,
keeping it busy.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're trying to keep it as busy as possible, and I guess as well to try and keep it as sort of quite exciting for people listening to it, and trying to mix it up with some of the guests. But yeah, as I say, sort of trying to shine a light on bands like yourselves that are obviously either trying to get established or onto that sort of next level where they're looking to get into the next level up type of thing.
Yeah,
So
definitely, man. You're doing a great thing for bands.
yeah, well, it's we're trying. That's all I can say. So it's obviously, I think it's fair to say, a pretty exciting time to be in Shambolics right now. It's the debut album. What are we? What 3 weeks away, roughly?
2 weeks, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to be good. It's going to be good to finally get work out there.
yeah, yeah, sure. And obviously, you said there in the intro there that obviously you were back on again for another appearance. That was back in 2021, and during those dark days of lockdown, which obviously seems a long, long time ago now, fortunately. And yeah, we won't go into what happened with the lockdown scenario, but there you go. But for those of you that are watching up on the YouTube channel, if you want to watch that episode, that was one of the early ones. I think it was episode 11. That link's going to be up there somewhere on the channel, and it'll be in the episode bio as well. For everyone else that are watching or listening on other platforms. But obviously, since then, it's fair to say there's been quite a lot that's been going on in the world of Shambolics. We'll just sort of go back to sort of like last year's sort of time. You obviously signed for Scruff of the Neck Records. So how did that come about, and kind of like what has that been like working with those guys?
It's been great. It's been really good for us so far. They've really helped us a lot, and it feels like it's starting to build a lot more now. Do you know what I mean? But I think if that first came about as um Mark Lippman has heard of us a few times and like heard of us online and stuff, and he was talking to our manager Jamie and stuff, and
Mm.
Jamie was trying to get him to see us and stuff. I didn't think he cared, to be honest. But then we done a gig at Glasgow SWG3 and the crowd was just madness at it. And I think he just seen the crowd and that got him really excited. And then we ended up going down to Manchester and playing for them at the Scruff office in the Northern Quarter and just done a wee live stream for them. They used to do a Twitch live stream. And I think when he met us and we played in front of him, he was just well into it. Do you know what I mean? And since then, we've just really got on good. I think he was just dying to have a Scottish band. Do you know what I mean? He seems to be loving it right now.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I think there's a lot of top bands at the minute coming out of Scotland, so I don't blame him. And yeah, obviously we'll come on to your live stuff in a little while, but you obviously always put on a great show whenever I've seen you live. But obviously signing to Scruff of the Neck obviously brought out the debut EP, You Serious Boy. It's obviously the second Shambolics release that you've had as a physical copy. So kind of like, how do you feel knowing that people are actually going out and buying? It's one thing. Do you know what I mean? There's one thing streaming it on, Spotify or whatever, but actually going out and physically buying your music. Like, how does that make you feel?
Does make you feel proud. It's cool. Like if I just try no think about it too much, to be honest, because it's just a bit fried. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sitting there Like fucking hell, it's mad because you see people ordering it for like New York and stuff. It's just like, what the hell? How has our music got over there? But it's like it's really exciting to see that people are into our music. Do you know what I mean? And are willing to pay their hard-earned cash to buy
Yeah,
it physically.
yeah, sure, definitely. And well, it's a fantastic EP. I must admit, I couldn't get my wallet out quick enough when I saw that you had when you had that coming out. I was like, yes, this is fantastic to see. So, just I know we mentioned briefly lockdown. We're not going to get too much into it, but obviously that was one of the, I guess, a kind of a like a pretty big moment still happened out of that for you guys because obviously that was when you sort of first crossed paths with Kyle from The View. And I think it's probably fair to say that you've developed a pretty close friendship, and he's obviously become a bit of a fan of the band. And I guess as well that that must have been a big thrill for you personally because you're obviously a big fan of The View, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. We had been fans of The View since we were like teenagers because they were
Yeah,
like the band that stayed near us that made it really big. Do you know what I mean? Like they were
yeah.
from Dundee. We're from Fife. That's no far from each other at all. It's like 10 minutes. So they were the first band that we really looked up to and totally idolized and thought, oh, I want to be like them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then through time, we became mates with really good pals with them all, to be honest.
Mm.
But with Kyle, I mean, the first time I met him was at Tea in the Park one year. He was like walking about the campsite steaming. It's a funny story, but I'll probably not go too much into it. But I met him at Tea in the Park, and then when we actually started gigging years later, I reminded him of it, but I don't think he can mind too much yet, to be honest. But I we done the lockdown. We done a lockdown gig. It was for Kirkcaldy Food Bank at Caves in Edinburgh,
Yeah.
and it was like a streamed lockdown gig on Facebook and stuff. And we got Kyle and James for Las Vegas up. So I think for working with Kyle at that, then we've just became closer to him and stuff, and went over to La Sierra Casa and wrote some tunes and stuff with him. So but we get on good. We have some messy nights as well. It's funny.
I was actually going to ask you about that because obviously you've been on obviously been on tour with them like at the back end of sort of like last year. So kind of like, did you ever imagine when when you first started Shambolics that you would end up, obviously you've shared this, he's come on stage with you obviously a few times, but did you ever imagine like that would ever happen and that you'd even get a chance to, go out on tour with them as well?
I mean, we definitely did dream it, but it's just it is pretty crazy that it all happened because we did used to properly idolize them. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember going to Stone Roses when they got back together, they were playing in 2013 at Glasgow Green. And I've
Yeah.
seen the View like once or twice before then at Tea in the Park and stuff, but like seeing them supporting the Stone Roses at Glasgow Green, that was just like, oh, I really want to do this sort of stuff. So we have idolized them for a while. And the first gig we ever done with the View, it was kind of when we just started off. It was one in Fife. It was just before they split up, and then I was like, we were proper buzzing when we got when we got offered that. So we fanboys, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, sure. I mean, it's great to see. I mean, obviously they say never meet your heroes and all that, but it's clearly coming across in what you're saying there that that's definitely not true at
No,
all.
definitely.
And kind of like, have you got sort of any like memories or like from the tour that you're allowed to share with us that you can share, like messy nights out or anything like that?
Um, Not really the tour, to be honest, but
Right.
the I've had some messy nights with well at La Sierra Casa we had some, but there was one for the track Attention that is on the album.
Yeah.
He recorded vocals on it, and he ended up just recording them in my living room, and then we ended up going out and getting absolutely wrecked in Glasgow after it. I remember we were walking down Byers Road, which is quite a busy road in the West End, quite the posh end, and we were walking down it, and he was like, "We're talking about fitness," and he was like, "Oh, I'm into running, I'm into running." And I was like, "Are you into running and stuff?" And he was like, "I've not been for a run today. Actually, I need to go for a run." And just started sprinting when we were like wrecked, and I had to just sprint after him because we are going to a pub in the other end of town to meet
Yeah.
our producer and stuff. And it was just he's an eccentric character. Like he was funny.
Brilliant. So obviously, debut album, obviously, as we mentioned, Dream Schemes and Young Teams is out on the 16th of February. The pre-order link is going to be in the episode bio as well. I've been lucky enough to hear it Congratulations! It is a fantastic album. You really poured everything into it. I think you've not left anything in the studio. So what can we expect from it? People that are maybe looking forward to it. What can they expect from this album?
I think it's just reality, do you know what I mean? Like everything that we're talking in the album is truth.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? We just wrote whatever we we're feeling at the time. So there's songs about like smackheads and stuff. As bad as it sounds that like saying that, but there's songs about that. There's songs about universal credit, about being on the dole.
mm,
Then there's songs about just enjoying life as well. You know what I mean? There's some political references in there and stuff. It's just total reality and what we're seeing. Just being a young band for Scotland that have grown up with fuck all, do you know what I mean? And we're just gone. We know that we've not got the music industry into us. We're just gone for it. We're just no giving a fuck. You know what I mean?
yeah.
We'll just build it ourselves.
No, absolutely. And you mentioning like universal credit there. Obviously, we're recording this on a Monday evening, and sort of like in about the last sort of hour or so, I think it was. You guys have just announced the release of a new single that's obviously going to build up the anticipation for the album. It's obviously called Universal Credit. I think it's having listened to the album, as I say, it sounds like it's quite a personal song in many aspects to yourself. I guess the clue about what the song is about is there in the title. But yeah, can you just let the listeners know give them a little bit of insight into what you were thinking when you wrote that song?
So basically, when we were recording the album, me and Lewis were still in the Dole pretty much. And
Yeah,
I was going to I was going to the Dole office, which was near the studio, like before going and recording and stuff. And they were pretty much trying to put me on a course where it was like I had to go on it for 5 days a week and build CVs and all this shit. And I was trying to tell them like, look, I'm nearly there. Like I've got it. Like I've got this band. We're recording their album. Please just give me a bit more time. Do you know what I mean? And then eventually they just kicked me off. So aye, but during the recording process, that song was written like we never wrote it before going in. We wrote it while recording the album, and it's because the Dole were giving me shit pretty much. And I just think we wrote it as a piss take song. It was supposed to just be a bonus track or something like that, but it ended up being pretty decent. And then we're like, right, we'll put it on the album, fuck it. But then the label were like, oh, just let's not even care about radio or whatever. Let's just make a good fucking video to this. And it
yeah,
was like, fuck it, we may as well do. You know what I mean? We could do a funny video with this for the first time. We could actually get our humour across in videos. And
yeah.
aye, he's in for a treat with the video. Let's just say it's out on Friday.
Brilliant, great stuff. Well, I'm looking forward to watching the videos. I do love seeing that, and I appreciate the effort that the bands have gone into to making the videos. In actual fact, that does pretty much put us on quite nicely to the next question. Because what was it, last week? I think it was now. Time seems to be flying so quickly. You released probably the best album promo video that I have ever seen. I don't think anyone has ever come close or will ever come close to this. This is pure genius. I'm not going to spoil it too much. I'm going to let you just take it away and just let us know what like what the thought process was in that and how much you enjoyed doing it.
Aye, so that video seemed to have kicked off. I didn't expect it that much, to be honest. Like people were total loving it. I thought we maybe just say a couple people like, oh cool, but aye, people seem to be proper digging it. So we ripped off the train spotting intro, Choose Life.
Yeah.
And we had the idea to do that like a couple of years ago. I think we were announcing an Edinburgh gig or something like that. It was during lockdown and then COVID fucked the gig for some reason. And if you might remember, but do you remember we done the train spotting poster to announce the gig?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
You
yeah,
remember that, yeah.
yeah.
So that gig I think it got cancelled because it was during COVID and lockdown two or something happened like that. And we were going to do it for that. And then we just resurrected the idea again because Mark, our label boss, loves train spotting. He was like, oh, you should do a train spotting reference or something. And he just kept putting train spotting in my head, and I was like, fuck it, we'll just rip off the intro because it's in Edinburgh, do you know what I mean? We're in Scotland.
Yeah.
So I just went and done it and just done it as a joke pretty much and never took it too seriously. Like all the stuff on that speech that we're talking about, Like choose bump starting your shitey old motor. Like I literally have to bump start my car every fucking day. Like it's everything on that is just us. You know what I mean? And I think because we just were ourselves in it, people seem to like it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. And I saw Robbie, well, Bobby Carlisle, I should say, he was loving that video as well.
Yeah, so he plays Begbie in
Yeah.
Trainspotting. And he's kind of supported our music for a few years now. He's done a few tweets and stuff. I think he supports like local bands and stuff. He's quite good with like yourself, good with local bands and stuff. So aye, it was great for him to retweet it and stuff. There's been a few people, so aye, it's class seeing people digging it. Like it's funny how far it went.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, that's part of the part of it now, isn't it? It's not always just about the music. You have got to have that engagement, do you know what I mean, with your fans, and clearly it's obviously worked because, as you say, it's gone pretty wild, to be fair.
Aye, definitely. It's good. We're filming another one tomorrow for a laugh. I'm not going to give too much away, but this one's going to be a funnier one.
Brilliant. Well, I'll be looking forward to that when that does eventually come out. So let's talk live then. Obviously, we're still sort of in the album promo sort of mode, but obviously you're going to be playing a series of acoustic shows. I think they're going to be first of all you've got three shows. Glasgow, Dundee, and Edinburgh on the 16th and 18th of February. So quite a different experience for you guys, and a sort of a different setup, I'm assuming, as well. So where are they, and what can people expect from these little acoustic shows?
They're in Glasgow, Dundee, and Edinburgh.
Mm.
And it's an album like in-store signing, meet and greet, and acoustic gig, and it's just going to be me and Lewis doing the tunes,
Yeah,
stripped down to how they were written. Like when these tunes were all written, they were all written with just two of us on the acoustic,
yeah,
and or one on the electric. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be a lot more chilled. Do you know what I mean? than the gigs usually are.
yeah, yeah. And obviously you've also as well. Then I'm assuming because you've also announced. I think that was yesterday, or maybe it was today. Again, days seem to be merging for me a little bit at the minute. But you've obviously got a couple of other shows as well in Glasgow and Edinburgh as well. Are they going to be full band shows then, or are they going to be this acoustic setup as well?
Oh no, they'll be full band shows. They'll be hot, sweaty, mad ones. So I think they're going to sell it pretty quick, hopefully. So
Yeah,
it's going to be good.
yeah. And do you have any preference, like personally, like do you prefer those sort of hot, sweaty gigs, or do you prefer, sort of the more sort of chilled out acoustic ones, or is it? No, I'm
I
not.
prefer the I prefer the more live gigs, because acoustic ones, I love acoustic performances as well, but because you're just so close to people and stuff, I think that they're the most nerve-wracking ones. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You get
Okay.
more
Yeah.
nervy
Yeah.
and stuff because they're just close to you in the room and it's quite slow and stuff. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I do love a good acoustic. I do love watching a good acoustic performance.
Yeah, 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 sure. I quite like. I prefer probably the full on, live, everything plugged in, whacked up to the max type of thing. But I'm also quite fascinated by those acoustic shows as well that bands do put on. Actually, I think it gives a different life, to the songs that they're playing. Um,
Yeah.
Also as well, last year, sold out King Tut's. I'm sure it's probably a little bit of a mixture of emotions. I'm guessing, really, obviously, on the one hand, getting to play an iconic venue, selling it out, but obviously also as well, it did mark, unfortunately, an end of an era. Obviously, drummer Jake Bain, obviously, it was his last gig. He's obviously been a massive part of the band over the last sort of 5-6 years or so. Yeah, how was that final gig for you guys?
The gig was great. It was just a mad night. We had Ford Kiernan from a show called Still Game in Scotland, one of our favourite shows. He was at the gig and stuff, and we played with Kyle on stage,
Yeah,
and it was a really good night. And then obviously with Jake, it was his last gig. It was just a good way to end it for him as well, because it's kind of, I think King Tut's was the first gig he played. He played it with us when it sold out, so it kind of started and went full circle and finished there. It was a shame he couldn't carry it on because Jake's just a fucking great guy and he's a
yeah.
absolutely frightening drummer and
Oh,
an even better singer, better than us. You know what I mean? But he had a kid and
mm.
he's obviously just a good guy and a good dad, and he couldn't do the final push with this band. So it's a shame, but we're still bestie mates, and I love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, no, I echo that. He's got time for everybody. Whenever I've seen him at gigs and come down and seen you guys play, always says hello, always has a little chat. And as you say, he's a fantastic drummer and a great singer as well. And yeah, hopefully maybe your paths may well cross again. You know, like in a musical
I'm
sense.
sure they will. I'm sure a
Yeah.
couple of years and stuff. Couple of years and we'll be through our 60th drummer, and we'll be saying, we'll be phoning them up. Hopefully by that time we're making money and we can give him a proper job.
Yeah, he'll get the itch. He'll want to get back behind the sticks again and get back out on the road. And I mean, to
And
be honest,
show he'll want to get the itch to show us up again.
yeah.
Show us up with the rock vocals.
Definitely. And I mean, looking back across like 2023 for Shambolics, kind of like, and obviously, and you know, and all the achievements you've had, you've obviously, been out on tour with like the likes of The View, Cast, Little Man Tate, as well as obviously your own shows as we've just mentioned. Um, how do you feel that Shambolics are progressing now?
I think it's going really well now. It's like, as you know, more than anybody, we've been grafting for years, and
Mm,
it's I feel that every time we've had a good build up, something's happened that's knocked it down, whether that's like fucking COVID or
mm,
band members leaving, or you know what I mean, just
yeah.
total unlucky stuff that's went on. And but now we're on a good trajectory, and it just seems to be going well, and everything's just running smoothly, and we're getting loads of promo done and loads of tunes done, and everything's just gone great, to be honest. Like, gigs are selling it quick and stuff, so it's an exciting time. Let's just say, let's see how the next 6 months goes.
Definitely. Well, fingers crossed. I'm backing you boys all the way. As you know, you're one of
No,
the.
you always have, man. I appreciate it.
No, no worries at all, mate. It's an absolute pleasure, and yeah, as I say, I'm rooting for you and shouting as loud as I can from down here in Essex, for you boys. But obviously, as you know, here at This Is the Music, we like to shine a light on bands, like Shambolics that are establishing themselves on the like the new music scene. So, kind of like over the last 12 months or so, what bands or artists have you been checking out?
Um, there's a band, a couple of the boys filled in with us on tour, Resistor from
Yeah,
Glasgow. They're just releasing their first sort of tunes and stuff. I knew the band before them. They had another band before that, and they had played with the Shams and stuff a few times. So I've known them a wee while, and they've been grafting since they were like 13. Do you know what I mean? So
wow.
um, they're still only like 24, and they're just starting another band, so they got plenty of time. But they're
Yeah.
really good. And there's a band called the Castros for Fife that are supporting us soon. They're really good as well. I've known
Yeah,
some of the lads for a wee while, so they're
yeah.
two that I've been looking at recently. But to be honest, I really need to actually look into more new bands and stuff. I've just been too lazy just listening to the Beatles 24/7.
Well, I can't say I blame you there on that. And I mean, I know, well, I don't know them, but yeah, big fan of the Castros. What I've heard of them, cutting up for four or five singles or whatever they've had out. Yeah, they're a class band. And talking of the Beatles, what did you think of the Now and Then release that come out last year?
I thought it was great. I mean, it took me a few listens to be honest, but see the more I listen to it, I'm just like Jesus Christ. And then people complain about them using technology and stuff, like using the AI thing to separate John's voice, but they forget that the Beatles, when they were releasing their first music, or like the reason why they're so great is they use technology to develop recording albums. Do you know what I mean? They went for like 4-track machines to 8-track machines and stuff, linking the two together, and the production techniques that they done at EMI and stuff were just madness in. So they've always been ahead of the curve when using technology to make music. And
Yeah,
they've just done it again like 60 years later. It's absolutely insane.
yeah.
They're the best ever. No one touches them in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you know what? I'd never thought of that personally. I don't think I've ever heard or seen anyone say what you've just said there about the development from the 4-track and the 8-track and all that. And thinking about it as soon as you said, I'm like, yeah, what it makes perfect sense. I was a little bit unsure at first that it was a good idea, but when you think about it, like as I say, what you've just said there, that makes perfect sense.
It's madness. They've just done it again. It's crazy.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it's a sort of a fitting end as well for the Beatles. But I'm sure their music's clearly gonna live on forever.
Aye.
So I've got some quick fire questions for you now. So
Go for it.
the first question is, you're allowed to see one final song from your favorite artist in your favorite venue. Who are you choosing?
Uh, I'd love to see the Beatles live, obviously, but I think the song that proper, I mean, it's a song that I might actually get to see live and might actually get to see from one of my favorite artists. But one of my favorite song ever is probably "Live Forever" because it was like the first song that I got really hooked into, and I just
Yeah,
used to play it on guitar like so much. So hopefully, I can actually see Oasis playing that one day. Do you know what I mean? But if not, I'd need to be like the Beatles playing something that all you need is love or something like that.
yeah, sure. No, I mean, yeah. I'm looking forward to the definitely maybe tour that he's got coming up in June time. That should be class with a bit of luck.
That'd be class.
Yeah, looking forward to that, man. It should be great. So what three albums would you take with you on a remote desert island?
Um, Revolver by Stone Roses. Um, Revolver by the Stone Roses. What am I on about?
Yeah, I was
Revolver
gonna
by the
say.
Beatles. And fuck's
I've
sake,
got a new
man.
out.
It's
It's
a wee
breaking
Bakes
news. I've
moment
got
right there. Fucking hell.
I've got a new
Revolver
album
by the
coming out.
Beatles and the Stone Roses first album. That's the first two. And probably Fleetwood Mac Rumours
Oh,
for a wee
nice, man.
change.
Yeah, no, I'm liking them, man. Great, fantastic choices. So if you could slot into any legendary band and play one of their songs at one of their gigs, who would you choose and why? Or who would it be? Sorry, I should say.
Um, I mean, I'd probably just fucking slot into the Beatles and just play something that would be massive live, like Hey Jude or something like that. I mean, you could
Beyond
probably
that,
play
yeah,
that to like you can do a gig to Earth, do you know what I mean? And they'd sing that back. So I'd choose that.
nice. I like that. I like that. So which member of Shambolics is always late, be it for sound checks, rehearsals, or band socials?
Definitely me.
Is there any particular reason why for that, or is it just happened?
It just happens. No blaming myself.
So, kind of like looking ahead to like the rest of 2024, what other plans are there for Shambolics? Obviously, you've got, some local gigs up in Scotland there, as we've discussed. You're looking to get back out on the road again, like festival.
Aye,
What are the plans, man?
we've got a lot in the pipeline. We just announced so we announced that PG's gig and that sold out pretty quick. And we've just
Yeah,
announced a Glasgow and Edinburgh show this morning. And then we've got a couple of things we're going to announce in a few weeks, maybe some English dates and stuff, and then loads of other stuff's in the pipeline. So it's going to be a really big year, put it that way. There'll
yeah.
definitely be some English dates getting announced soon.
Perfect, brilliant. Well, I hope that does involve coming down to London. Obviously, I didn't
The
unfortunately make
landing, we'll
it
be in London, Matt. Don't you worry.
Perfect. Love that, mate. Love that. Look, Forbes, that is unfortunately the end of the podcast. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on and chatting and getting to find out everything that's going on in the world of Shambolics. But I'm sure most people probably know by now. If they don't, they definitely should. But can you just let everyone know the social media platforms that Shambolics can be found on?
So on all platforms, it's Shambolics Music, and we've got our debut album coming out on February 16th. Please pre-order it so we can sign off the dough.
Brilliant, great stuff, and we'll put all of those links in the episode bio, along as well with the pre-order link for the album, Dreams, Schemes, and Young Teams. As I say, I've been very fortunate to hear it already, and it really is fantastic, and it is worth investing some money in. Forbes, thanks very much, mate, for coming on. As always, as I say, it's been an absolute blast, and thank you very much for giving up your time. And I hope to catch up with you at a gig sometime very, very soon.
Thank you very much, my man. I appreciate you having me and appreciate the support throughout the years.
It's an absolute pleasure, mate.
Cheers, my man.
All that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for tuning in to the latest This Is The Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any future episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, it would be really appreciated if you could leave a comment and a 5-star rating, as it really does help the bands and artists we interview to be discovered. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you somewhere down the road for the next episode of the This Is The Music Meets podcast.